Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Stewart. I am the lead financial coach and founder of Do Better Financial, and welcome to actual fall. As you can see, or maybe you can't, I'm wearing a jacket. There's sleeves. Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining us today. I'm wearing a jacket. I'm very excited because it was actually chilly enough. I will not use the word cold. Thank you. It was chilly enough for me to actually wear this jacket. Hey, Said, thanks for joining us today, and I am so excited. Fall/Houston winter is my favorite time of year because jackets, scarves, boots, and whatnot. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. If you don't live in the South, you do not understand how awesome it is for the temperature to go below 60. Just gonna let you know. It's pretty awesome. Okay, first thing on the docket, yesterday was the most amazing dad that a girl could ever ask for's birthday. He turned 69, so shout out to my dad. We had a lot of fun celebrating his birthday. My nephew gave him the most odd birthday card, but it is definitely unforgettable. Had a monkey on the front, not in a weird way, just in a 24-year-old going shopping kind of way. But yeah, it was a fun day. My dad preached. It was awesome. So everybody who helped him celebrate over at Solid Rock and everybody who's been wishing him happy birthday on my timeline, no, I did not forget my dad's birthday. I just didn't want to take time away from spending time with him on his actual birthday to write that post. So I wrote that post today for those of you who wished him happy birthday today. Thank you for doing that. So let's get into today's video. I'll just give you guys a little bit of a behind the scenes peek. Some of my videos are very planned out in advance. I have an idea about what I want to do and I kind of plan it out, and then, the day of it kind of comes together. And some of them are a little bit, they come from the conversations of my everyday life. This is one of those second videos. Hi, Latanya. Thanks for joining us today. It's going to come from some of the conversations and reoccurring themes that I've been noticing over the past few weeks. So kind of like a minister. I am not a minister. I'm not ordained or anything like that. But similar in the way that, something just keeps coming up and it's like, man, I need to pay attention to this. That's kind of what this particular video is. Today's video is about perspective. Now, let me just give you an idea of how much this has been coming up. I had, I think, 4 conversations in the last 7 days with separate people about perspective. They talked about it, perspective and focus, in my CFU class, which is my church's Connecting Fellowships University. It's not an actual university. It's our before church kind of Sunday school hour. And also my dad actually preached about it on Sunday. And I was like, man, this is a theme. I had already decided I was going to talk about it, and then it just kept coming up even on Sunday, and I was like, okay, this is the thing. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So what really has come to my attention is that a lot of the frustrations and difficulties that we experience, not all, but a lot of them come from the fact that we're focused on the wrong thing. Okay? So in other words, this is about perspective. It's not, it's about, as you may have seen earlier, I posted something about what do you see first. It was a picture, and you could have seen one of 3 or 4 or 5 different things. The longer I looked at it, the more things I saw. It's one of those optical illusions, but it's really about your perspective, what draws your attention first. So perspective, if you get some, right? If you're able to get a different perspective, it doesn't necessarily fix everything, right? If you're going through tough marriage times, tough financial issues, health issues, perspective's not a magic pill that's magically going to make that stuff go away, all right? We're not talking about a wand of some sort. Hi, Phyllis. Thanks for joining us today. What it will do, however, is it can lead to critical thought, and it can change your own attitude towards that thing. So one of the best examples of this that everybody has access to, it's not just my personal life, is a book by Andy Andrews called The Noticer. And the subtitle is, I think, sometimes everyone needs a little perspective or something like that. But one of the stories that really sticks out to me is one that he tells about a young man who's really struggling to get his his work life in his career off the ground. He's struggling. He's in a dead-end job. And there's a man by the name of Jones. He's kind of nondescript. You can't tell how old he is. You can't tell what race he is. Everybody has a different description of him. He's a wanderer. This is a fictional work. But he's actually seems to be homeless to this young man. And he encourages him to read. And anybody who knows me knows that I am a true bibliophile. I read a lot. I personally enjoy reading. If you're a person who struggles with reading paper books, and this is a side note. Hi, Gloria. Thanks for joining us today. Audiobooks are magic. You don't have to buy them. You can check them out from the library. You can rent them from the library, rather, or you can get Audible if you want to buy them. But reading is so amazing. So he tells this young man, hey, if you should really start reading. He gives him a bunch of different books to read, and slowly the man's perspective starts to change, right? Reading the books isn't magic. A new career didn't jump out of the page. His boss didn't magically just start treating him differently, but he saw his circumstances differently and his opportunities. So if you don't read or ingest information from places besides just Facebook, not hating on Facebook, but you need to read some things. Get some more information in your head other than just what's going on right now. Some past, even some fiction things can, get the juices a-churning, so to speak. So I would encourage you to read, and you need to read with comprehension, as my mother well knows. She used to be a tutor. It's not just about being able to read the words. It's about understanding, internalizing them, and then applying them to your life. So if you're not a reader, I would encourage you to become a reader, because as Andy points out in this book, reading can really open your horizons and help you see opportunities and solutions where at first you just saw problems. So why is it a big deal? I kind of tricked you. I gave you the answer first, but if you're paying attention, you already know. Oh, thank you, Sister Gloria. Why is it such a big deal to have, tunnel vision? Which means that you're looking, you can't see anything else. Why is that such a big deal? The biggest one is that what you focus on grows. And there are lots of cliches about this, things like turning a mountain into a molehill, and, you're making a big ado about nothing. And in reality, these people literally have made something that was small bigger by simply focusing on it. So I'm going to go a little church on you for it. So just come with me, and then we'll go back in a second. But I am a Christian, so this is my frame of reference. A lot of people, if you are a person of faith, of the Christian faith and specifically, you will know the story about Jesus walking on the water. So I'll give you a brief synopsis. Jesus is teaching. They leave one side of a very large, we're going to call it a sea. I can't remember if it's a lake or a sea, but they leave one side and they're supposed to be taking a boat to the other. He sends his disciples off in one direction and he goes up the mountain to pray. While he's up there praying, the disciples are caught in a storm and they're basically rowing for their lives, right? These are not motorboats or power boats. They're rowing oars. And so Jesus is like, I'm on my way. So Jesus starts coming to them walking on the water. Suspend your disbelief. He's walking on the water. The disciples are disbelieving too. They think he's a ghost, okay? They're like, oh my gosh, it's a ghost. And Jesus is like, calm down, it's me. Stop tripping. And so one of my favorite disciples, because he is extra, he's ever ready with his knife, ever ready with his tongue. The boy does not shut up, but I love it because he speaks to those of us who have trouble being quiet. Peter is like, Jesus, if it's you, tell me to come walking on the water to you. And Jesus is like, come on, Lee. And so Peter, ever the risk taker, jumps out the boat, starts walking to Jesus. And this is the part of the story that I want to get to. As soon as he stops looking at Jesus, he starts to sink. Now, the part of the story that's interesting is that they are in the middle of a storm, right? So when Peter climbs out of the boat, the waves are still raging, the wind is still blowing, and it is still raining, right? It's a storm, right? Now, I don't want to say it's a hurricane because I'm not sure, but let's call it a hurricane because that's real relevant to those of us in the South United States right now. Let's call it a hurricane. Peter jumps out the boat in a hurricane, right? And it's going on, but right then he's focusing on Jesus. The hurricane's always been there. It's when he stops looking at Jesus that he becomes more aware of the hurricane's presence. It never left. It didn't get any bigger. It didn't get any weaker. It was there, but he was focused on the thing that was going to get him through the hurricane. The same is true for us. When you're going through something crazy, when you're fighting with your spouse, when you're dealing with money issues, they're not necessarily going to disappear. But when you focus yourself on something that is bigger, more important, or in control, those other things seem to be not so important, right? So here's how we can fix our perspective. First thing is to slow down. I can tell you this from experience, and I know everybody experiences this because I've watched my mom, my dad, I watch everybody do this. You lose something that you want to find and you need right now. The first thing you do is start running around, tearing stuff up, right? Trying to find that thing you really need. But you can't find it, and so you get exasperated. And this happens to me. Exactly. What matters didn't change. This happens to me. You're freaking out. It's been, a couple of minutes. You can't find that thing. And I go, you know what, Christian? Slow down. Because in reality, looking for the thing faster doesn't make you find it faster. It's when you slow down and start thinking and processing and taking your time that you're actually able to see and start to think about where that thing might be, right? So start by slowing down. Now, initially this might be like I was talking about, you're looking for something, you just take a breath. But in your actual life, when you're dealing with difficult things, sometimes slowing down means taking time away from whatever it is. So if you're struggling to figure out something, if it seems like there's no solution to it or like there's no end to it, maybe you need to not look at it for a few minutes. Maybe you need to take some time away from the entire experience. I know some people are able, not everybody is, but some people are able to take like a vacation of a couple of days where they don't have to deal with a lot of other stuff, where they can just think and take time to process. The next thing you want to do is take inventory. I really like this. I saw this on something else. And the biggest thing is you want to take inventory, not just of the bad things. That's something that we tend to do when we're trying to figure out a problem. We write down all the big issues that are going to keep us from getting it done. Don't just write down the bad things. Also write down those things that are working well, those things that you're thankful for. We'll get back to thankfulness in a second. This is actually from my dad's sermon. Thank you, Daddy. You want to not just write down the things that are, less than ideal. You want to write things that are going well as well. You'll be surprised how having both of those things written down together might give you more ideas than just continuously rolling around in your head how awful things are. There's this thing called an echo chamber where if you yell into it, right, your own voice just keeps coming back to you. It's the same type deal. They call it, there are other names for it, negative reinforcement, negative thinking. They encourage a lot of different self-improvement people talk about positive thoughts. I'm not just saying positive thoughts. I want you to make a realistic picture. Opportunities and also awesome things. Don't leave off the awesome things. Okay? And then the second thing I want you to do, look at this list and the issue, whatever it is you're trying to solve, figure out what it is you're trying to do and if what you're currently doing will get you there. For instance, if you say, I want to be a millionaire, but you spend everything you make, math doesn't work that way. You won't get there, right? So if what you're doing won't get you where you're going, the second thing I want you to do is think about this problem as if it's someone else's, right? So if your friend, pick a friend, came up to you and said they had the same problem that you have. Hi, Travis. Thanks for joining us today. What advice would you give them? Right? If you think about the problem as belonging to someone else rather than you, and this can be difficult, what would you tell them? Third thing I guess this is the fourth thing. The next thing I want you to do is to make time to serve others, especially when we're in a difficult situation, when we're struggling, when it seems like nothing is going our way. Giving to someone else can really give you perspective as far as maybe my life's not as bad as I think it is. Maybe it is, but maybe I still have awesome things to be thankful for. It's something, and it seems crazy, but you might say somebody's got their life's a mess. There's no way that they could get perspective by serving others. Let's say they're homeless, right? And it's like, they're homeless. They can't find a job. His wife left him, whatever it is. If he goes to serve other people, whoever they are, let's say he went to a nursing home, he could easily say, man, I'm glad I still have the movement of my faculties. I'm glad I still have my right mind. I'm glad I even know what I don't have. And that may seem small, but something like that can move your countenance and change the way other people perceive you as well, which can also lead to changes in circumstances. I'll tell you this, I will never hire a person who is just has a sour disposition. that disposition turns people off for a reason. Sour is not something that people typically seek out on its own. They want it to be balanced, right? You don't just go eating sour things all the time. You might want a little bit of it, right? Which is why, everybody likes a little sass. They want a little of that. I can't remember the name of that nasty stuff. Everybody liked it. I'm sorry. It was Mexican candy. Lucas. Everybody loved that stuff. But you put it on something that was sweet to balance out the sourness, right? So if you have a sour disposition and you need some perspective to help you clean that up, that could help you get another job. That could help you change the way that you interact with your spouse. That might help you find somebody who's willing to work with you on your money problems. Because I'm going to be honest, it's difficult to dig through some of that, for people who even want to help you. Last but not least, and this is probably the least done thing, is to get a second or even third opinion. Now, when I say opinion, I don't necessarily mean your friend, right? It could be. You could have some very insightful friends who are able to help you see outside of your own situation. But I'm going to tell you the truth. It's probably not family. There's this thing, me and my sister have both experienced it. My mom will say something to us and we'll be like, oh, okay, whatever. And as soon as another person that's not her says it, it makes so much sense. And my mom's like, I told you. And it's like, Ma, it's different when you say it. I don't know why, but it's different when you say it. So if you are one of those people who either has a bunch of friends that are in the same position that you're in, or you just can't seem to, hear what family members are telling you, you can seek professional assistance. Hi, Avery. Thanks for joining us today. And that can look a lot of different ways. If you're if you're talking about marriage, that looks like counseling. That might look like seminars. If you're dealing with finances, that might look like coaching, or, it might look like taking some sort of class. If you're talking about health, that might look like that's true. My mother is, I feel so bad. We got to do better. Chris is right. That might look like, if you're dealing with health, that might be seeking out somebody to help you with your training, or to help you with what you're supposed to eat, things of that nature. So let's just think about this, right? Because I know a lot of people, when I say things like, get some outside help, I get the wall of, number one, cost, and number two, everything that I need is on the internet. I can do it myself, right? Those are the two biggest barriers that people have to seeking out assistance. Right. So let's just think about this. There are successful organizations and even teams, like sports teams. They are constantly bringing in consultants. They're always bringing in what they call subject matter experts, SMEs, to help them in the areas where they are either too close to the situation to see that something's wrong, right? So when you're in tunnel vision, you can't see what's going on over there, and somebody else is going, man, if she just took off those blinders, she'd see that, whatever she needs is right over there. We love you, Mommy. Or they're too far removed. So, for instance, a business that's trying to solve, they don't realize there's an issue going on the customer end because they're not in the customer-facing part. Consultants can help you with things like that. You also overlook opportunities. This is something that they deal with in my day job, which is oil and gas. Lots of silos. They call it synergy, but basically what it means is there are things that you can use from one area, one department, one region across to another, but because they don't talk, you're missing the opportunities to get those things, make those things utilized and productive in multiple areas of your business or your life. So if you do not have to wait till there is an explosion or until there is a meltdown or a problem to seek help. Okay, I know when you say the word help, people assume that something's already wrong, but think of it more like proactive, right? Like when you go to the doctor for a checkup. You don't go to the doctor for a checkup because something's already wrong. You're going for a checkup to make sure that everything's still going right. So, like I said, for relationships, that might be, reading books together, going through workbooks, attending workshops or coaching series, or just, having some questions to ask one another. Same thing goes for kids when you're trying to preempt problems. Now, you got to be careful with that one because sometimes you can create problems. Parents don't assume that your kids are as worried about everything that you're worried about. Age appropriate, right? But being proactive about intentional about teaching them things that will be useful to them in the future. I am talking about money right now. Be proactive about teaching your kids about money. If you missed that video, go back and check it out. Same thing with health and, of course, finances. You don't want to wait until somebody is sick to figure out if you have enough life insurance. That's too late. You should do that now. You don't want to wait until it's time for the funeral to figure out if you have enough to bury them. That's too late. Hello, fish dinners, right? And I'm not throwing any shade at the people who have to do that, but nobody wants to have to do that for a funeral. It's usually either a lack of planning or it is a lack of planning or a lack of preparation and usually a little bit of denial. Like people are pretending like they're not going to die. We all must go that way. All right. So in any of these categories, health, finances, relationships, we can all do a little bit better. So I want to encourage you, and GoFundMe's, yes. I want to encourage you to proactively buffer yourself up. You build yourself up. Make a stronghold, so to speak, around you, around your family, around your psyche, so that you don't have to go to rock bottom and then go get help, right? Try not to dig yourself a hole and then have to fill it in and then build on top of it. Let's start building now and put in a good foundation so that the things on top of it don't bring us a sinkhole. Sorry, that's more Houston issues. They keep coming up. All right. So if you're looking to get proactive about your finances, you can head to dobetterfinancial.com. Hi, Deborah. Thanks for joining us today. You can head to dobetterfinancial.com. You can request a free consultation, or you can email me at christian@dobetterfinancial.com, or you can hit me up on social media, either Instagram or Facebook. Both of them are at dobetterfinancial. Last but not least, before I go, I want to let you know that next week I will not be having this video. There will be a video, but it won't be on my personal page. You can either, I will try and make sure I share it when it starts, but I will be a guest on Fire Radio with Deborah Franklin again. As you may remember, I did that a little while back. I'm going to be on there talking about how to avoid that holiday hangover. We are going to be talking about holiday spending some more. Yes, I know it's October, but it's finally cold. It is officially time to start thinking about Christmas. I know people were like, Christmas is only September. Look, you spend more money than you realize. You need to save it. It's got to start from somewhere, come from somewhere. It's time to get on the ball, okay? So next week, October 23rd, the video will begin at 7, not 7:30, and I'm going to post the information and the links so that you can watch it. It'll be on fireradio.com. Usually it goes live on Facebook as well, and I'll try to share it there before I get on if I can, but I want to make sure that I'm actually on and not fiddling with my technology, as is my custom. There's no eggnog involved in the holiday hangover. I mean, if you want one, you can definitely pursue it in that manner. I wouldn't suggest it. That stuff smells like feet, but to each his own. I thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot them at me. Only if there's liquor in it. Why would you make eggnog without liquor? Then you just drinking eggs. I do not comprehend. Sorry, I'm reading the comments. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Enjoy this fall weather. I know I am. I got my jacket on. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.